Welcome to the Iconics Genesis 64 video guide. This video discusses the use of generic Windows form controls in a GraphWorX64 display. It covers the insertion of controls, interactions between the control and the display, as well as steps to embed web pages into displays.
GraphWorX64 allows you to use many different objects to create your applications. You can use the basic shapes that you have here in the home ribbon, or you can use the more advanced controls like TimeWorks Viewer, AlarmWorks Viewer, and so on. This is not enough. GraphWorX64 also allows you to use any .NET control that you may want to use. On the left side, where the Object Explorer is, you can also open the Toolbox. The Toolbox will show you a list of user controls. For example, in this case it's Windows Forms control, it could be WPF controls, or again the Iconics controls. And you can use these objects natively in GraphWorX64. So for example, if you need to select a date in your application to, for example, to run some reports, or to select a day for which to view some historical data, then you don't need to create a calendar by yourself. You can use a predefined one like the month calendar, which is a .NET control you may be already familiar with. The good thing of GraphWorX is that this object exposes all the events that you would normally find when working, for example, in Visual Studio with this object. So you can go in here and access all the events. So for example, when the date is changed, we can create our custom function to execute some code, for example, to get that value and to do something with it. So what we want to do in this example is just to show the currently selected date. So we can use a process point with a string variable, which we call date, which is a string. We need to give this process point a name. I will call it PPT, which stands for process point. And then I will start writing the code, which will write the currently selected date into that process point. To do that, I used this configuration object to call the getDynamicObject by name, passing PPT as the name of the object, and then I will use the write value to primary data source method to write my message into the process point. So the message that I want to write is actually included into the event variable which I receive as a parameter from the system, and it is called start. So right now I can go in runtime mode, and whenever I will select a date, that date will be written here. So you see, I can change the date and this will update accordingly. So as I said, I have used this e-variable, which is a date range event args object, which you can see also here. It exposes a start member, which is a date time variable, an end variable, and also has some methods. So in this case I am not selecting a range, so I was only selecting a date, so that's why I have used the start member. Otherwise you can use the start and end member. The same applies to other controls. So for example, we also have the date and time picker. We have, for example, the tree view control, to which you can add nodes, and whenever a node is selected you can run some custom code. So you see, after select, for example. And another interesting thing is that you can also add other user controls to this list. You can do that by using this button here near the Windows Forms caption. By clicking on this button, a little dialog will open, and here you can browse and look for more user controls, even your custom one. So if you want to write your own custom controls in Visual Studio and use them inside here, you can do that. So to show you how this works, I will go and select some additional Windows Forms control. So I click on Browse, and I go to browse in my C, Windows, Microsoft.NET, Framework 64, version 2, where the Windows Forms libraries are located. And here it is. Now you can see the list on the left here. There are like 15 or 20 user controls. When I click on open, some more controls are added here, and whenever I click on OK, they are also added at the bottom of the list. One of the most useful user controls is the web browser control, which allows you to put a web page inside your GraphWorks page. So this may be useful, for example, if you have like an HTML page where you have some data and you want to embed it into your application, or maybe you have like a security camera which has a little web server inside it where it exposes the video stream. And all you need to do to use this control is to set the URL property. So let me go to Google just as an example. And you can also command all of these variables by code. So for example, you can have like a little text box where you can type in your address or maybe some variable or whatever you need, and then you will be able to open up your web page inside here as Google page in this case. So this is a very powerful way to extend GraphWorks capabilities, to enhance it by using custom controls. They can be system controls, your own controls, any type of control, WPF, Windows Forms, and you can write code against them to modify their behavior and to interact with them.